morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Joining me as always on a Tuesday morning is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Comissiong. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning, Pearson.
Good to have you. I see you brought a crowd of people with you.
Yes. Our friends from Jamaica, Belize, St. Lucia, but also very much the CARICOM Secretariat. So we are here this morning to talk about CARICOM's border attachment project. And I brought with me Mr. Leo Preville, who is the director for the CSME, the Single Market and Single Economy at the CARICOM Secretariat. And we have as guest to Barbados, Marie Lou, immigration officer from Jamaica. Yovani, and I will not try to attempt to pronounce his surname. Yes. Brother Yovani from Belize, and I think they brought the rain with them.
Yes, and we're thankful.
So I'll let Leo explain exactly why they're here in Barbados, but I want to say to them that they've come to Barbados at a very special time for us, because tomorrow we are going to be commemorating the 400th anniversary of the first British landing in Barbados, the 14th of May, 1625, and in commemoration of that date, I wrote this nice little love story about Barbados, and it's called "What to the Republic of Barbados Does the 14th of May, 1625 Mean?" And I just want to give a little gift of one to everybody, because when you read it, you will see that Caribbean integration is really very much at the center of the entire story of Barbados. Whether it is the Barbadian planters that went off to establish the British colony of Jamaica, took their enslaved laborers with them. So the Barbadian population, very much part of Jamaica.
Yes.
Whether it was the Garifuna, who went from St. Vincent to Belize, and what many people don't know is that the origins of those Garifuna, many of the enslaved Africans who escaped the plantation in Barbados are headed to St. Vincent. So, and of course, so many Barbadians who went to St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean islands. But anyhow, so this is just my little gift to you, but I'll let Leo explain exactly why Marie and Yovani are here with us in Barbados this week.
So, Leo, you have been involved.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to you,
Good morning.
Ambassador and colleagues here. Well, to go straight to the point, the CARICOM Secretariat is part of our public education outreach and empowerment program that we have in close collaboration with the European Union under the 11th EDF. We've mounted a series of programs called our Skills Workers programs. The program had, I say had because this is the final component of the program. We focused on exchanges among secondary school teachers. We looked at bringing CSME officials together, and we had CARICOM Youth Ambassadors meeting in Georgetown for a period of, I think it was 2 weeks. The Teachers Attachment Program, exchange program, was a 2-week program. And we have the Border Officials Attachment Exchange Program, which is a 1-week program. And what we've done in this program is we've had host countries. We had Belize first, followed by Guyana, and now Barbados, hosting officials who work at the border in the member states of CARICOM. And by border, we speak about your immigration officers, your customs officers, your officers responsible for plant and health quarantine, and of course also officers who from the medical facility, the medical institution, who do the screening at the point of entry, and we know we saw that very alive during COVID.
Yes.
So, as we know, the CSME is centered on the 5 pillars of free movement, a core pillar being free movement of people, and movement of goods, of course, but people at the heart of it. And you have those are the officials who actually give life to the policies of our heads of government and ministers and for the organs. So it makes good sense to have these officials, one, be fully familiar and aware of what is the latest positions and policies that they have to implement in the normal course of work, as well as for them to have among themselves as officials at the border the establishment of networks of cooperation, so that when the colleague from Belize would have left here, he would have met with officials from Jamaica, from Barbados. He would have met with Haiti, Dominica. And so the future now for him is that when he picks up his phone and he calls, he's speaking to a colleague who he knows, who have established a relationship with him, and of course my colleague from Jamaica also. So this is what the program, the attachment program, is meant to do. It's meant to build information and knowledge at the frontline officers, build a network, establish beyond the official interchanges camaraderie, and at the end of the day, we are trying to build advocates for the CSME. Because you would know, an ambassador Comissiong says this all the time on the program, the CSME is perhaps the only option that we have developed to secure our own national and regional economic development. And this is perhaps even more important now, given what we've seen happening, the geopolitical environment we currently live and face. So this gives you a sense as to what this is all about.
You've set yourself some lofty goals as well, and you're quite right. Understanding and knowing better each other helps us not just to be able to communicate, but to have a sense of appreciation for the nuances as well. This is not the first time that you're doing this.
No, the first program, well, this is under the 11th EDF.
Right.
This is...
Explain to him what the
EDF
is.
Sorry, my bad. So the European Union, in collaboration with the CARICOM Secretariat, we have this program of financing that addresses different areas that the community would have identified as priority areas for support. So through resources from the European Union, we're able to pay for the airfares and the hotel accommodation and per diems for these officers to move and to do this exchange. I say it's not the first time that we've done that. Similar programs have been done in the past. In fact, I don't know if you recall, Ambassador, at one time we had students, groups of students from the different member states, literally high school students. We had in the region of sometimes 20 of them.
But if I may,
moving around.
If I may, what makes this particular exercise so important now is that we are on the verge of implementing the full freedom of movement regime. So right now what we have in place is the skills. We have movement regime in place, but right now it is limited to the skills nationals, where people who have certain skills are entitled to move freely, to work, to live. Right of establishment, people who want to move to establish a new business in a CARICOM member state, and service providers. So that's what is in place right now. And as Marie goes and engages with her Barbadian immigration, her peers in the Barbados Immigration Department, as Yovani with his peers in the Customs Department, they will be seeing what Barbados has put in place to deal with the skills national regime, the right of establishment regime, the services regime. But very importantly, we are now in the process of developing new administrative procedures. We are now in the process of looking at what laws we have to amend to transition from those regimes to the full freedom of movement regime. So, so they're coming to Barbados now and having this engagement is perhaps even more significant than other programs like this in the past, because we are on the verge of moving to this full freedom of movement.
And that's one of the things that excite people of the Caribbean. They can't wait basically to get going on this. So from where you sit, Mr. Preville, give me a sense of how far along the chain towards success and a full implementation are we?
Well, the decision was taken to move towards full free movement at the 45th meeting of the conference in July of 2023. And Ambassador Comissiong was actually one of the persons who headed the intergovernmental task force tasked with making that happen. In February of this year, the heads, when they met in Barbados, decided that perhaps the better way to go to achieve that at a faster rate was to ensure that we have what we call a protocol on enhanced cooperation, which is a protocol which was not yet being provisionally applied because not all member states had signed that protocol. Good news, all member states have now signed that protocol, and this protocol is meant to allow those member states who wish to move ahead with a particular area that the revised treaty has already identified as a common goal to move ahead with that area, while others may not be in a position to, and they could join in a little later. So the free movement that Ambassador Comissiong spoke to, we have some member states, at least one member state has indicated, it may not at this time be able to participate. And therefore, for those who wish to participate in full free movement, that vehicle called the Protocol on Enhanced Cooperation is at a point now where it is with the decisions as to who participates and who does not is with member states. The conference, when they met in February and then subsequently in April, took some decisions, one of them being that states should indicate by the 1st of June whether they would be ready to move, utilizing the protocol on enhanced cooperation to move to full free movement. So this is essentially where we are at now, awaiting responses from member states that so wish to move forward, and there would be a process for that to happen. Those member states would so have to make that type of declaration at the next meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government, which would be on from the 6th of July. That would be held in Jamaica. And so I would say what we need to look forward to now is that next meeting of the conference in Jamaica on the 6th of July, 6th to the 7th of July. We would see what comes out of that.
Pearson, let me say that Barbados has already decided that we are moving ahead.
Yes.
So we want that word to go out to the Barbadian people. In fact, we are just now waiting on the CARICOM Secretariat to send us the template, the document that we have to fill out to send back to them to indicate that we are starting. And so yes, so we have already started to look at what new procedures our immigration are going to have to put in place, what new procedures our customs are going to have to put in place. So we are very happy that you guys are here to engage with our officers and to help us to think through actually some of these new processes.
As we continue our conversations on CARICOM, engaging with the CARICOM Community Secretariat, looking at the single market and economy, the free movement of people, border control, customs control, all of those things, and how do we together as a region make it easier for people to move and do business and live and work and enjoy the spaces where they are. So with us this morning is Leo Preville, who is the director of that CARICOM Secretariat. He's brought along with him Yovani Tzib from Belize and Mary Lou from Jamaica. Mary, I'll start with you. Talk to me a little bit about what you've experienced since you've been in Barbados as it relates to what you're here to do.
Okay. Well, first let me say thank you, Barbados, on behalf of the fellow participants from Dominica, Haiti, Belize. We want to say thank you for being gracious hosts. What we've learned so far, well, you know, it's about facilitation. And we have seen that, you know, just walking through immigration on Sunday, it was smooth sailing, right? no questions asked, right? All we had to do was present our passports, and it was free as we would want it to be, right? And so what we're here to experience is how we can learn from those best practices from our fellow, neighbors, and how we can bring those best practices back into our own member state and, develop on it, improve on what we have in our own countries to have this seamless movement of our people, right? So for us, it's about learning, observing what is good, and bringing back those best practices, being advocates for CSME, and ensuring that the public is aware of what's happening, what they are to expect, right? And, as Commissioner said, to move towards that full free movement of our people.
Is there one little thing so far that you've experienced that you wish could be eliminated or replaced? And if so, what is it?
What would I say? What would I say?
It's still
It's
early.
only one day, so we haven't
Yes,
experienced that early.
it's still very early because, as you said, we came in on
One
Sunday,
day.
and Monday, it was just about orientation and learning about the program, getting a view of what we should expect. So it's still early. It's still early.
All right. So from Belize's perspective as a customs control officer now, let's talk a little bit about what you think needs to be in place to make sure that, as we do as a people of the region, that we get done without having to feel as though we are second class or someone else is better than ourselves.
Okay, so as Marie just mentioned, it's the first day. We've only done one day, so we've met with the deputy controllers of customs, and they gave us a presentation, and it was a discussion. We were able to ask questions, and they have taken the risk management approach, which is being promoted as well. So when Marie talked about the facilitation of entering through the airport, immigration and customs, I think all that is based on risk management, where for customs, we're moving away from having to check 100%, because we're saying if a company is importing, you look at their likelihood of infractions, and if this person has a good compliance, then you can use your resources in other things other than concentrating on a compliant importer. So for customs, that's one thing that we're moving to. So we're going to be here. The team from Belize, we have representation from customs, immigration, public health, and the trade office. So we're because my concentration is on customs, and Marie, or immigration, is people. Well, I'm mostly cargo. So we're getting a full picture of what's going on, and we have representations from all areas. So we're hoping to get the full picture, and we can take that back to Belize.
And that's what it's about, Leo. Just looking at all of the aspects of border protection, basically, and how people really do business and move in the region, so that we can better have a game plan, so to speak, so that we are able to allow people to be able to do what they do. And I say that deliberately, allow rather than disallow, because oftentimes people feel when they come to the border, immigration is prepared to disallow. Customs is prepared to disallow. And that becomes a bottleneck for a lot of people of the region.
In fact, we, under this program, I'm happy my colleague from Belize mentioned the team, because we're actually funding 3 persons under this program per member state. And in the case of Barbados, I must tell you, Barbados has taken this thing very seriously. So Barbados was, the member state Barbados visited on the exchange program was Belize. And on that mission, in addition to the 3 persons that the program funded, the government of Barbados paid independently for 2 extra persons to attend. And you see, this is reflective of how important, the level of importance assigned to that, as demonstrated by Barbados. So the whole idea is to get, as Marie explained, is to get to see best practices, is to share their experiences. And in the language we use now, we say the effective best practices. And so at the end of this exercise, it is not a one-way flow of information. It is a commingling of experiences and ideas. And out of that, Caribbean people always create new solutions and solve problems.
Well,
That's the idea.
I wanted to say that because although we feel in Barbados that we do have a number of best practices. I give you one example. Our Barbados Accreditation Council, the instruction was given to our Barbados Accreditation Council. That's the organization in Barbados that issues the CARICOM skills certificates and that certifies CARICOM skills certificates coming in from other countries. But we set ourselves the goal of 1 week to issue a CARICOM skills certificate. One week, and we do meet that. Except in circumstances where there's some really complicating factor. But a routine CARICOM skills certificate in Barbados should be done within the space of 1 week. So you actually have people from other CARICOM countries that come into Barbados to apply for their CARICOM skills certificate in Barbados. So we think that that's like a regional best practice, but we know that we are not perfect, and we know that as they engage with our immigration and customs and port health officers, that because they're here for a week, they're going to have that engagement over a period of a week, that they will see things that we can improve on, because you hit the nail on the head. It's about how we make our CARICOM brothers and sisters feel welcome, that they're treated just as if they were a citizen of the country, and that's really what it's all about. And to work out the administrative procedures, the operational procedures that accomplishes that, to make people feel welcome and to facilitate them as much as possible, while at the same time having an eye to security, because yes, you still have to look at, you don't want someone coming in who might be a national security threat, somebody with a criminal record that, you really want to keep that person out. So immigration still has that kind of role to perform, and likewise customs, you still don't want, so it is striking that balance, but striving all the time to make our CARICOM brothers and sisters feel as they're part of the family.
And that's so very, very critical, because we understand I'm speaking as the layman here, you guys are the technocrats. We understand the purpose for immigration and customs control, we get it. We just don't want to feel as though it is used punitively against us. Because we already get it. And so it's good to know that the movement, Leo, from your secretariat, is that we want to be able now to make the process a whole lot more meaningful for that Caribbean traveler. That we feel that when we come home, and to be able to say that I'm going to go to Jamaica, I'm going home. When I go to Belize, I'm going home. And to feel as though my home welcomes me.
Absolutely.
And not make me feel like the stranger that they might think I am. But at the same time, there are different borders. There's we have the ports of entry, but for instance, Belize has just on one side the sea, on the other side they have land. That they're fighting against the movement of goods and services, and so is that a part of your construct when you're thinking, or is border control just global in our view when we come to talking about security?
Well, I'm happy you raised Belize. Belize presents, like Guyana and Suriname, would present different challenges. We have sea borders. They have sea and land borders. So the officers who would have gone to Belize, for instance, would have seen, and some of them would never conceptualize how, from an island perspective, how do they manage this? And Belize is not a small place.
No.
So you have size, you have different dimensions, and at the same time, from a CARICOM perspective, our focus is on saying how we facilitate, which is really what you're focusing on. It's facilitate the movement, but it's not reckless facilitation. So we must have rules and regulations. But what we try to do, two things we try to achieve. We try to simplify those rules as much as possible, and then we try to harmonize those rules. So you get an expectation of how you are treated in Jamaica, at the border should be similar to how you treated in Barbados upon arrival and in St. Lucia or Guyana. So the whole idea is simplification and harmonization in creating that single space for our people to move. That's the focus.
One of the barriers often is language. I know you mentioned Haiti, French, and for us in the Caribbean, all we know is our dialect and a little bit of English as we go. So is that also being tackled in this process that you're having this week?
I'm happy you mentioned Haiti, and I'm very, very happy, and I wish to publicly commend the government of Barbados for ensuring that at short notice we were able to get our Haitian colleagues to be in Barbados, and one of them had to have a special accommodation for visa purposes because that officer did not have an official or diplomatic passport, and the government of Barbados made it happen. So with Haiti, yes, Haiti is actually part of this exchange, and we will be having 3 officers here. Haiti poses a particular challenge at this time because of more internal issues that need settling. Haiti is a full member of the CSME. Let's be very clear about that. What needs to be done, essentially the core issues, Haiti needs to be a party to the agreement established in the CCJ, and Haiti needs to establish exactly what Ambassador Commission spoke of, the necessary internal regulatory and administrative procedures to allow the CSME to take effect as it should. But without that stable environment for these things to happen, we have those challenges. So we were able to bring Haitians into this program by they coming in, but unfortunately we've not as a region been able to implement a number of the programs we would have loved to go in country to do. A country mission to Haiti, we were not able to do this at this time. As we speak, Ambassador, you'll be aware we are undertaking a number of member state visits where we're looking at implementation procedures, how the CSM is being implemented, and getting feedback from stakeholders. We've so far done St. Lucia, St. Vincent, we've done St. Kitts, we've done Antigua, we've done Trinidad and Tobago, we've done Belize, and we'll be moving to Grenada next week, and hopefully Jamaica in June. And the whole idea is to let persons in the member states feel CARICOM being present, to receive input that could make our work programs more reflective of the needs of the member states on the ground. So I say all this to say we would love to have done that in Haiti at this time because resources were made available for it, but it could not be done because of the situation.
Haiti is the youngest full member of CARICOM. So Haiti is still, in a sense, a new kid on the block and trying to find its feet and trying to fully fit into our integration mechanisms. Haiti will not be participating at the outset in the full freedom of movement regime for obvious reasons, all the instability that currently exists. But many of the things that we already have in place, like the CARICOM Skills National Program, Haiti needs to come on board with these things, because if those programs were put in place in Haiti, it would make it easier for Haitians to actually move and be accommodated. So, we have Jamaica, we have Belize, but we also have officers from Dominica and Haiti with us in Barbados this week. So it would be my hope that they could really bond with their Haitian counterparts here, because we need to help Haiti to make that transition to full participation in our regional arrangements.
So, Mary, you're here for the rest of until the 16th or beyond, and so talk to me a bit about what are your expectations at the end of it all?
Okay, so as I would have said before, it's just really about observing what happens and to take away from that the good things, and also to share what we have been doing in Jamaica, and to see how whether or not those things that we do in Jamaica, the good things, can be also adopted, right? So my expectation really is about that, getting, learning what's happening, in all the other member states that are present here, and taking from that. And also to build networks, with my colleagues, right? We talk about Haiti. We also want to understand what's happening there, meeting with the persons that are here and understanding firsthand from them what's happening and how we possibly can help. Because we're seeing a lot of movement. And, sometimes you sit there as an immigration officer and you can't help, it's what you do. So naturally, that's what comes first. You're looking at the risk and all of that. But we really would like to understand what's happening in country and how best we can help you, right? So it's my expectation really is about, how we can move along this CSME, the idea of free movement, facilitation, how we can now introduce risk-based techniques in our immigration practices, because I believe that is what we need to move towards. We have taken steps, right? But that is what we need to move towards in breaking down these borders that we have, whether it's land or sea. But in order for the CSME to really work and for us to, as individual nations, understand that the silo that we're in, it needs to go in order for the movement to work.
Indeed.
The initiative to work. It's not going to work if we continue to be in our own little worlds. It won't work.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And Yovani, do you have the same view, or do you have any other view?
Well, I share the view of the opportunity to create networks. And as Mr. Preville mentioned, the word harmonization, that's one of the aims that I think I want to contribute to. We're looking at Barbados, and we're going to be visiting different organizations and different spots, and so it's my aim to be able to help my brothers in Barbados. It's like when you're doing something, it's your perspective, but when you have outside perspective, then you might see it in a different light. So that's the purpose of the visiting member states. It's like, I remember back in school, when you would take a test, the teacher would say, exchange papers. You check hers and she check yours, and you see the little mistakes, and then you make recommendations. So that's basically what we're here to do, to evaluate and see the implementation of what they have and what we can learn from them, because they might have stuff that we don't have. And so when we see it in practice, and this new being here in person makes a difference than being online, looking at a monitor, and it's not that you don't get the real juice of it. Yes. So being here in person, I mean, I've taken courses and presentations about CSME and CARICOM and everything, and yesterday being in person with Mr. Preville, his presentation pointed out certain things, and I was there face to face, and so you got the real deal, right? So, and the interaction was live, so it takes away all the hassle of being online. So
I get you.
Barbados is all love, though. When we're here, we feel at home. We drove around this a bit yesterday, and my colleagues mentioned from Belize, this looks like Belize City, and it looks like this, so you feel at home when you're in Barbados.
And that's what we want to hear from our Caribbean people, that this feels like home when you're in Barbados, because we see ourselves and we look familiar. We see places and it looks familiar. And so that's what we want to be able to engage a whole lot more in with this free movement of people across the region. And so time is against me now, Ambassador. So again, this runs until the 16th. Is being hosted in Barbados at the moment by the CARICOM Secretariat. And out of this, we're hoping to be able to enhance cooperation, better understanding of each other, better understanding of our borders and the best practices as well, to be able to improve all of that and to be able to allow our people to move.
Yes, it's another step forward. And as I said, it's coming at a very important time, because we are now on the verge of that transition, at least some of us, to full freedom of movement. And Yeah, it's all it's about our Caribbean civilization. And Leo began by pointing out the very difficult, the increasingly difficult world in which we live. And we have to understand that the only thing we really have is each other. And let's pull this community together in the best way possible. And let's create a first class a first class space for us to live and to enjoy life and to provide opportunities for our children and grandchildren.
I had a lecturer at UWI, Jamaica, and he said, and he was so right, he said, the Caribbean is the center of the world. When he first said that, I said to myself, this guy is a madman. But when he went on, and he is actually a lecturer of history, he said, if you study the growth of industrialization in Europe, it actually revolved around what happened, which I'm happy that Ambassador captured it here.
Leo, you're going to find that story in this book.
We here in the Caribbean have been the ones who have generated so much of the wealth that the world has. And wealth does not disappear. It only changes hands and multiplies. So we are people who have created, and we will continue to create, but we need to, as Marie said, take down the silos that independence to a large extent has brought, and let us see how we could work together.
All right. Well said, Leo. Thank you, Ambassador. Ambassador David Comissiong, Barbados Ambassadors to CARICOM, and Leo Preville, who is the chair of the Single Market and Economy Secretariat, the director, really. With him is Yovani Tzib, who's from the Belize Customs Department, and Mary Lou from the Jamaica Immigration Department. Indeed, welcome to Barbados. Welcome home. And I hope that you really take back from Barbados to your people where you go, all the best practices, truly best practices. And you're right. Let's break down those silos. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.